Welcome to part 3, episode 2 of my Vampires in New Orleans series. And as you know, we have discussed quite a bit about the vampires thus far. The fascination with the graves and the cemeteries of the dead has definitely been a place of intrigue, as has the home of the legendary Jacques Saint Germain, the Ursuline convent, and the infamous Casket Girl, and the Carter brothers' chilling Sanguinarian tale of captive people and bloodletting. Vampires in New Orleans are definitely holding strong even as of now. We have even discussed some of the most prominent figures within the vampire subculture, including the infamous Father Sebastian. Throughout all of this, one thing that I've been doing is ensuring that you know vampires are not just fiction. In fact, in New Orleans, they are definitely real. We have discussed some of the shows on the History Channel. We've talked about some of the great events like the Vampire Ball. We've discussed Fang Smiths and what certain lengths of time can entail for different vampire covenants. And we have talked about both sanguinarian and psychic vampires, that is, both blood-consuming and energy-consuming vampires. And we have learned that there is definitely a strong community with a large populace of people who subscribe to this lifestyle. Now, some people say that there are 2 types or 3 types of vampires: sanguinarian, blood vampires, or psychic, energy vampires, or something known as hybrids. There has been an influx of other little subtitles within that. Some people call themselves fire vampires. I know that there are some that subscribe to the exual vampirism. But for the sake of argument, we're going to stick with the 2 original types as I learned about them. Now, a sanguinarian vampire is a blood-seeking and consuming vampire. They are also known sometimes as a hematophage. They usually consume small amounts of blood, usually just like a few droplets. Sometimes they might use a lancet or a syringe for this, and they acquire their sustenance in many ways. Typically, sanguinarian vampires have a consensual relationship with a partner or a donor, and they may even have written contracts, sort of like you might find in the BDSM subculture, of what is going to be consensual terms that they both agree to for the dynamic that they're entering into. Also, a lot of sanguinarians, because of the risk of bloodborne disease, they want to vet who they're going to be using as a donor and a partner. So a lot of times, this is a smaller populace of vampirism that doesn't quite appear as often as a psychic or an energy vampire will, because of the risks that go with bloodletting and the consumption of life fluids, biological fluids, if you will. Of course, as we've seen, as evidenced by the Carter brothers, there are incidences of people that don't quite go along with consent and that do go to extreme means to sometimes get their sustenance, and those people usually are not a part of the larger community that actually exists and flourishes in New Orleans because of that. Consent is the primary, most important thing with sanguinarianism, and though there are bad actors in every type of lifestyle, they're pretty clean and pretty thorough about vetting processes and ensuring that the people that they're engaging in bloodletting with and who are giving them donations are doing so from the healthiest point that they can be. There are instances where I've heard that people have done, draining it from unwilling donors, and people have talked about, robbery of blood banks. I don't know of any incidences of anything like that. Those are obviously drastic fictional stories. But, if you do actually go do some deep dives on vampirism and vampire history, you're bound to find some true crime stories that are out there and outlandish. But it's really important to note that the vampire culture as it exists in New Orleans is really, really big on consent, honesty, and ethics. Now, psychic vampires are a little bit different. Obviously, these are energy vampires. And they are the type of people that, obviously, in social circles, tend to drain the energy out of others. They usually leave people feeling exhausted and a little bit depleted after being around them. And essentially, they feed off of the energy and the life force of those around them. So they are going to be people that want all the attention, who are usually social butterflies. They are usually a lot more extroverted because they want to, get people interested in them. And they also flock to being around people who bring a lot of energy. They want to be in places where they're getting that rejuvenation and that sustenance. Now, most of the time, people that are high empaths or have strong auric reads, when they are subjected to being around an emotional or an energy or psychic vampire, they do tend to, feel tired, and it can definitely kind of zap you of that vibrant energy that you have. So there was actually a test that was done of a person with a high aura around a psychic vampire before and after, and what it showed was a significant difference in the drop in their auric read. So they definitely can kind of leech off of your energy, and it's important that if you are going to be engaging with them, that you're doing things to re-up your energy and to reevaluate, to make sure that you're not constantly being sucked dry of all of the good life force in you, and all of your, good upbeat emotions, your creativity, and all of those things, because they thrive off of, absorbing those things. And as we know and we have discovered through science, energy is real. Energy can never be killed. It can only be exchanged or altered from one state to the other, but it never dies. So knowing that, the power exchange that can be done between a person offering the donation of their energy to someone who needs that, it can be even as simple as, you noticing somebody who's down and you going and being someone to go and pep them up. But it's important to know that if you have that energy, not to let people just zap you of it and just allow yourself to get to the lowest stage, because if you don't revitalize your own self and you let other people absorb that energy, you're going to be brought into a darker place in life and feel depressed and feel, kind of stuck and lethargic. And as I mentioned, there are some codes of ethics, and I'm going to show you that from Michelle Bellinger's Psychic Vampire Codex right here. You see those appendix 1, 2, and 3, and that last one right there is the Black Veil, the Vampire Ethics, on page 265. So there you go. The Black Veil is the official code of conduct for the Sanguinarian and the Order of the Strigoi. A common sense set of ethical guidelines, it has been adopted by a number of groups beyond the Sanguinarian community. For the years of its existence, the Black Veil has become so widely known that those outside of our community view it as a virtually synonymous with vampire subculture. As proof of this, the Black Veil is given mention in the sci-fi reality TV show Mad House, and is cited in the episode of CSI Vegas. An early version of the guidelines was drafted by Father Sebastian Todd in late 1990s and appeared in the first edition of the Vampire Almanac. In 2000, through a collaborative effort, I worked with Todd to revise the original Black Veil into the 13 rules of the community. As a result of further community feedback, the guidelines were revised again in October 2002 to produce the document reprinted here. As cool as this is, though, I thought it would be cooler to show you guys a timeline of the vampire community here. And you can see what it's saying there, 1748 to 1897 there on the first. Then 1910 to 1977, starting with Aleister Crowley and going down to Martin Rica, which you can also see Anne Rice right there. Then from 1979 to 1994. From 1995 to the year 2000. And of course, this book is 20 years old now, so it's from 2001 to 2004 there. I'm sure there's new renditions and a lot more information out there as well. And remember, this is available in a 20th anniversary edition right now for around $20 if you want to get it. Until next time, remember to stay safe and enjoy your weekend. The vampires might be out en masse, but that doesn't mean they're going to mess with you. Until our next episode, it was great to talk to you guys tonight.